Hi friends! Welcome to this Procreate Draw With Me. Before we get into things, I just want to say that this video was very kindly sponsored by Clue! Clue is a free period tracking app available on both iOS and Android, and it is a very handy little program. It helps you keep track of when you're menstruating, when you're ovulating, how long you have until your next period, and as you keep adding more and more info into the app, it gets to know you and your cycle better, and it can give you a heads up if you maybe have like a bad bout of anxiety or PMS coming up that you need to keep an eye out for. You can customize exactly what you want to keep track of, and Clue is completely gender neutral in all of its language, so it's good for anyone who menstruates, because, fun fact, not only women menstruate, gender is a spectrum. I did not realize how important it was to track my period until I realized that about 2 to 3 days before I start my period, I get these super violent, terrible bouts of anxiety. And it's nice now having Clue because I'm able to look at my calendar and be like, okay, cool, so this is just hormones and isn't me regressing or my meds have stopped working or anything like that. It's also nice to be able to go into the doctor and actually tell them when my last cycle was, as opposed to being like, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, because it's important to keep track of your health. So if you are interested in Clue, you can download it for free by clicking in the link below or by searching for free period tracking app in the App Store. And now, on to the rest of the video. So, like I said, this is a Procreate Draw With Me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is basically how I use Procreate. Today in particular, we're going to be drawing a sticker sheet for my shop. For those of you that didn't know, I do have a shop where I sell stickers and prints and things. It's been a while since I updated my stock, so I have been working on new sticker sheets. So even though the process that I follow for drawing sticker sheets is a little bit simpler than how I normally draw things for maybe like a more sort of full illustration piece, it's essentially the same process. So we're gonna walk through that. If you're interested, these are my favorite brushes. All the whole ones in my little faves tab are my faves, and then the 3 circled are the ones that I use very, very regularly. I pretty much sketch exclusively in the technical pencil, and then I color using the mono brush and the Narrator pencil, and then I add in details and shading using the technical pencil and also gouache if I'm doing like blush on cheeks and stuff, because it gives a nice sort of soft effect. But yeah, my process for drawing in Procreate is I pretty much sketch using a red technical pencil, very similar to how I do when I draw traditionally. I like to do very clean sketches because what I do is then I go in afterwards and add in color and line work, and I pretty much draw exactly from what it is that I sketch. So I do, I like my sketches to be very neat, but also I use this time to resize things, rotate things, shift things around, just because Procreate doesn't have the best, I think it's anti-aliasing or resampling, but essentially when you resize things in Procreate, even if you're sizing them down or if you're rotating them, things get a tiny little bit fuzzy, unlike it would in Photoshop or something. So I use the sketching stage to resize things and move things around and zhuzh it up, and then that way it's exactly how I want it to look for when I go in and add color, so I don't have to resize things. If after I add color I do want to go in and resize things or move something, like maybe move something to a different spot, then I will do that in Photoshop. So for this sticker sheet, I decided to be very self-indulgent, and I drew things that were very kind of Pride and Prejudice themed. I've been very into drawing teacups lately. So I drew some very cute teacups, and I even drew a little pot of creamer on the top left there. Sketching's always my favorite part. but sticker sheets are hard, sometimes I run out of ideas, and so often you'll see actually later in this video I go on Pinterest while my Apple Pencil is charging and just scroll through Pinterest to try and get like ideas or inspiration for stickers. And the thing is that I like to draw a lot of the same things, but I don't want all my sticker sheets to feel exactly the same. So I want to add a little bit, like I said, here's Pinterest. I basically search like object illustration or like food illustration or something illustration to sort of find the types of things that I'm after. Yeah, so I'll do that to gain a little bit of inspo, and then I'll go in and keep sketching. You'll see that it's a lot of zooming in and out to see how things look on the whole sticker sheet, and then zooming back in, and then zooming out, and then zooming back in. Also, I want to make sure that I have enough space around each sticker, that there's enough room for me to draw in the cut line because I like to draw my own cut lines and then send it to the printer. By the way, I don't make my stickers myself anymore. I get them printed by vinyldisorder.com. And so they can do the setup for the cut lines, but I just like to have a little bit more control over it. So I want to make sure that I have enough space around my stickers that I can put in those cut lines. So that way, like, none of the stickers are running into each other and stuff. I was having a lot of trouble with this teapot, if you couldn't tell. I have to say, I really, really love drawing in Procreate. It has streamlined my workflow like you would not believe. I used to use a Wacom tablet to draw my stickers digitally, and then even before that I would draw them using Copic. Is it Copic or Copic? Someone told me in the comments of a video of my sketchbook tour, and I can't remember what it is. I'm gonna go with Copic. Or I used to draw them traditionally using Copic markers and then scan them in and then rearrange them in Photoshop. Doing it this way has made it so much easier and faster to make sticker sheets. And so I'm able to just arrange them exactly how I want them in Procreate on my iPad, and then bring them into Photoshop on my computer and add in the cut lines, or Illustrator to add in the cut lines, whatever it is that I end up using. And yeah, it just makes things so streamlined, and I'm very, very happy that I have this iPad. It's done wonders for my workflow. And now we've started on color. Yay! So when it comes to coloring, I pretty much use the narrator pencil to color things in, pretty much exclusively. I use the mono brush for things like skin or large areas where I want things to be very solid, but I love it when drawings have a little bit more texture to them, and so I usually use the narrator pencil to color in large areas that aren't skin. Also, when I'm usually working on like a full piece or like a commission or something, I will draw the hair, the skin, the clothes. I will draw everything on separate layers, so it's a lot easier to recolor. It's a lot easier to add clipping masks for drawing on like blush or skin details or shadows or whatever. But for stickers, because the name of the game is efficiency, and also I kind of like it when my stickers have more of a have a little bit, or maybe not necessarily as neat as my full illustrations. I like them to have that kind of sketchy sort of feel to them. So for stickers, I like to draw everything on one layer. That can make recoloring things a bit of a nightmare, but luckily Procreate's pretty good about, like, if maybe I don't like the color, like I didn't like the color of that girl's hair, so I was able to just drag and drop the new color onto it, and it didn't also recolor her skin, because sometimes Procreate, if you drag and drop a color onto a space, it will sometimes just sort of recolor the entire area that's like the entire area nearby that is also saturated. So So if that is more prone to happen, then I'll just go in and select it very carefully with the selection tool and use like the hue, saturation, brightness adjuster. I love that adjuster, by the way. It's my best friend because sometimes I'll choose colors that I think are a little bit too dull, or I don't think that they'll print quite right. Because often when you're sending things to print, you want to err on the side of it being a little bit brighter because it's always going to look a little bit brighter on screen than it is on paper. So I'll usually up the saturation and maybe up the brightness. But typically what I do for my coloring process is I'll go in and I'll scribble it in with the narrator pencil in one color, and then I'll go in and I'll add the details in either the narrator pencil or the technical pencil, or both, depending on which. As you'll see with this vase, I'm adding in the sort of like see-through, oh, hello, Sophie, the see-through round leaves with the technical pencil, because again, the technical pencil looks a lot more like an actual pencil and is less opaque than the narrator pencil, which is why I like to color with the narrator pencil, so I can have that like really good, rich, opaque color, and then add in details with the technical pencil to preserve that like sketchy texture that I love, and that is so delicious. Also, in addition to using the hue, saturation, and brightness slider, I will also use the color balance slider if maybe I've done it like I just did for the envelope. I didn't quite know how I wanted the color to go, and then I ended up leaning it a little more. I think I ended up leaning it a little more red, a little more yellow, maybe a little more yellow. I don't know. I can't remember, even though I just watched it. And then I had a little bit of trouble figuring out how I wanted to draw this like white flower, but I just ended up doing a yellow, like a light yellow outline to represent the border of the flower. Also, Procreate is such a well-designed program. It's incredibly intuitive. It's also gone to the point now that when I'm drawing traditionally, I will double tap on the piece of paper to undo what I've just drawn, or I will try and like use my fingers to like pinch it to like zoom in. It's really bad. But I love Procreate. If you do have an iPad, and it has like Apple Pencil compatibility, I would highly recommend Procreate. It's only $10, and it is phenomenal, and I love it a lot. And it's just so fun. And like I said, it streamlined my workflow like y'all wouldn't believe. It's amazing. So these roses, I was trying to do like a rifle paper co type vibe. You will see later that I just went back and erased them and drew them like I do my normal roses, because I was looking at them and I was like, that doesn't look like me. So, that happens sometimes though, is that you try out a new style, you try out something a little bit different from your usual, and then you realize that it doesn't quite work, and that's okay. Also, I will say about filling in slightly larger spaces with the narrator pencil like I'm doing right now with this teacup, it is oddly very soothing to kind of color in a large space with it. I don't know what it is, but it's really, really nice. Also, something that I'll do to give a little bit more interest to a like area of single color is that I think I've done that on something else on this sheet, but I'm not doing it. I don't think I do it on this teacup. But what I do is that I'll color it in with the main color, and then I'll go into the color picker and I will just move the circle ever so slightly over, so it's just the tiniest bit different, and then I'll scribble in random spots, and it just adds a little bit of depth to an otherwise, you know, flat color. I also had fun designing this plate. As much as I love like fancy teaware, I just know that I can't. Because the thing is that fancy teacups like this are often so small, and I like to drink tea in like buckets, but I feel like I should maybe have a couple of like tea cup and saucer sets for when I have my more, I don't know, fancy days, fancy tea times. I don't know. But, oh, I love drawing teacups. I don't know what it is. It's just so fun. Okay, fun fact. I recorded this video. This is my third time recording this video because it's my first time recording on my recording the screen of my iPad, and it is a lot more difficult than I thought it was. And I recorded 2 other videos. My first draw with me was of me drawing my March Patreon printable. My other one was me drawing another sticker sheet of flowers and plants in teacups. But both of those, the iPad would just not expose correctly no matter how I adjusted my ISO or my exposure or how bright the iPad was, or nothing would work. And then I was talking to Jordan Clark, and we were able to figure out that it was my lens, because my lens didn't have the dynamic range that I needed. I know nothing about cameras, so I don't know what that means, but I switched from my 20mm lens to my kit lens, and my kit lens worked great, so I was able to finally capture this footage. But at the same time, it's been great because I've been able to get a lot of drawing done the past 2 days. And I'm just really happy that this finally turned out, because I'm really happy with this sticker sheet. It's so cute and like delicate, and the colors, oh, hello. The colors are a lot softer compared to what, my other sticker sheet that I designed with the flowers in the teacups, because those colors are definitely a lot more like vibrant, saturated. I know nothing. I should probably like actually study color theory so I know what I'm talking about. But you'll see when I update my shop. I'm hoping to have these sent off to the printer like this weekend, so I can hopefully update my shop next Friday. I will keep you guys in the know. You will find out. See, I went back and I redrew those roses because it just didn't feel right, and I just drew my typical little swirly roses. And yeah, that's how I draw my sticker sheets, and that's how I use Procreate. Again, that process might change a little bit, like as far as coloring on different layers, but that's how I do the thing, and I'm so happy with how this turned out. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you again to Clue for sponsoring, and thank you to my patrons for being amazing and dope and stuff. I love you so much. I will see you so soon, and stay brilliant. Bye!